Looks like we are getting some continuation from the crossover of the Qs. As of right now, something interesting to point out. If you're not watching this live, make sure to tune into the end of the video in case we do an update, because we could be seeing some interesting things around that 9 a.m. mark when we do get some data. One thing that I'm noticing as we open up this morning, the dollar actually coming off a little bit here, okay? Actually curling down on the 2-hour, still going down on the 2-hour wall. Stocks actually drop further, could hint at some possible insider buying this morning, but I think this will have to be taken into consideration after we receive the JOLTS job openings. That's right, a lot of people are focused on jobs data, so if we get a good piece of jobs data, that could really make a difference. Now, volatility, I did want to show how it is knocking its head on this trend line here that we broke out of last time, but it is knocking its head on it right now. This is an area where if we break through the trend line, well, we could just be off to the races. We have crossed up on that MACD, but today's an important day because that crossing of the MACD could fade completely if we are going to see some good data in a bit. Not leaning towards that at this moment, as we have seen things like NVIDIA cross over on its MACD and going to continue the downside. Now, if we are seeing buying, this would be the area for NVIDIA to find some of those buyers. I want you to be very aware of that. We've seen big reactions out of that zone. We've seen the 2-hour divergence with a big reaction out of that zone. So watch if we tap our head on this and see some kind of reaction. It doesn't mean we have to fully recover. We want to see what is going on with the signals. But for now, we would say, hey, major drop off, crossed over on the MACD. Looks like we have to change our thinking very early on this week. This is like the first time we've had to change our thinking a little bit in the past couple of months, honestly. So we've been doing pretty well with the signals. Now we got to say, okay, after this short squeeze, now we have to say that this is not going to curl up just yet. Maybe it's going to take more time. Maybe we're going to get a good piece of data that does something like this, something like this. We'll find out, but following the signals is a good thing. Quick note, we did end up leaving that course up on sale for 90% off. You can get both courses for $150 right now. It's like pretty much a $2,000 value right there for 150 bucks, and this is never going back down to those price points. We're just leaving it live because Teachable was having some issues yesterday. Some people were saying they were having trouble getting the course. I believe all those issues have been resolved, so you should be good to go if you want to grab that this morning, and then that sale is going away after today's live stream. As we look forward, we just got to pay attention to a couple of things like daily expected moves. We do see on the SPY, we have 557.16 to the upside and 547 on the dot to the downside. Okay, now these are really, really close to some other areas, right? So this can be very good resistance. This can be very good support at this point because it is by a monthly move and this is by a weekly move. Remember, still a 68% chance to do that by Friday close. Doesn't mean you can't head lower and then see that reaction towards the end of the week, though. So we'll pay attention. It doesn't even have to do that. You're seeing something crazy. The craziness is continuing. We'll see what happens after some data at 9 a.m. One thing I did kind of notice was this slight little, I would call it divergence actually at this level. If we're able to turn around, I would really like that look. God, I always hiccup on the first part of the stream, I swear. Thought that was interesting. It doesn't look like the best divergence in the world. That's why I'm not really paying too close attention to it. But if it would reverse around, I would like this look going forward. Because we had so much liquidity in here, that is getting distributed. So what if this is all a fake out? We'll see the dollar kind of coming down as of right now. So that is something to pay close attention to. Down 0.15% as of this morning. I think this will really make sense once we see the data. All right, opening up, looks like we have the Qs heading to slight lower levels, making a brand new low to start off the day, gapping down. And no real ending in sight just yet. Now we could just beeline directly for that daily expected move early on in this first 30 minutes. We'll see what it shapes up to once we actually get some data. I think the data is going to be the most important thing. We'll pay attention to the PCC level as well. Thank you for coming in and liking the stream. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Anything before it takes out 23.31. I'm kind of seeing like the volatility. It's in an area where it could top. Just Joe, doesn't it look like it's kind of in an area where it could top out at least for some kind of pullback? Not saying it has to completely crash down, but I think it's adding up to the data could throw things for a loop or send that thing off. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Wordy wanted to see Tesla this morning. Let's go check on Tesla real quick this morning. We can see that that thing is still positive. That's a key note here. 2 hour is still positive. Or sorry, the 30-minute is still positive. The hourly did not cross down, so that's actually an okay sign. We'll see what's going to happen from that going forward. As of right now, you do have a 2 hour that is trying to go into positive territory. If we get a bad piece of data, watch out for some kind of divergence at these levels. But for the most part, we would say, uh-oh, look at that. It's not going to cross over just yet. If we get some good data, we can go into positive territory. That would be a good sign. And then we'd look out for, cup and handle. We'd look out for if that gets too excited and then creates this. That's what we're going to be paying attention to in the market. For this one here. As far as NVIDIA goes, you're down in a buy zone. You just got to see if that thing can turn around. It does not have any reversal signals down here, though. It has no reversal signals on NVIDIA. Yeah, daily chart's been kind of bearish for a couple of days now, so. Yeah, you're gonna go to jail for the unrealized gains tax. Are we in a bear market? No, you are not in a bear market. Bear market is usually dictated. I think I'll look it up real quick just to be sure. I'm pretty sure it's like a 20%. Once you're 20% down or something like that. Yeah, bear markets occur when prices in the market decline by more than 20%. So I guess you could kind of take a back look at this and say, okay, well, we never really beat the all-time high. Are we down 10% from even this level up here? You're down 2.83%. So this is just a pullback pretty much at this point. Once you get to that 5 to 10% range, you're looking at correction. So that would be some kind of move down into maybe this zone here or this zone here. If you start to break this low, though, you notice from the high, if you break that low, you start to go past 10% once you keep going. So pretty much you're going to need a lot of time to dictate whether or not you're actually in a bear market, but at least I was right in saying it's 20%. Looks like we have some buying coming in early on. We'll see what happens with this. At least in the SPY, the Qs are still at that lower level. We'll see what happens. But for the most part, I think everything is pretty much up to 9 o'clock. I think everything's up to here in about 27 minutes when we do get some data. I was not feeling the best this morning, and then I was like, you know what? I'll, just take an extremely hot shower, and I'm feeling a little bit better. All right, I'm feeling a little bit better, so that's good. What is NVIDIA's at 105? Some stuff. See if I want to grab anything. Okay, let's see here. That should make pretty good there. All right, back to the chat. Let's go, guys. Anything interesting you guys want to look at this morning? They are dumping the dollar. Yes, the dollar is dumping as of right now. I still believe that this is going to be, and if we really look at the structure, even here on the 30-minute, you can kind of see this left head, right shoulder. So if we start to break into this zone here, that means we're probably going to see more of a 4-hour pullback. You see how the 4 hours pulling back in positive territory? So this is something I'm really paying attention to for the short term, seeing if that 4 hour can pull back into the zone. This is great. You broke out of the zone. Now you test back in it. and then you see if you can rotate that thing back up, and that would lead into something like Friday, right? We could maybe come down in this area by Friday. I would really think that would be interesting, but it all just depends on the data in a moment. All in Amazon. Okay, let's go check on Amazon for you real quickly here. As you see this happening, one thing to note here is that 2 hour has been looking like it's going to cross down into negative territory, so watch out for the next 30 minutes. But if that thing turns down, that would mean, hey, we're going to make some kind of A, B, C pattern. But I would also look out for any kind of divergence that's made down here with Amazon. It might mean that the opportunity is just after some of this data. We'll find out. If it's with the data, then you're just going to see this thing reject and go right back up. And I would say an hourly curl up at that point, right? Hourly just curled down. See if that's able to curl up. Even a 30-minute curl up, as that's still positive, can treat some positivity there. Coin, we can go look at coin. Let me look at Bitcoin real quick. Bitcoin down another 1.66%, seeing some weird divergences over here on the MACD. So if those curl up, you do have an opportunity. Let's look at the 4 hour. 4 hour, you do have like a triple divergence. So this is saying that Bitcoin could try to base out if we get some positivity today and tomorrow. So I would more so be looking for what happens after data. Can that change people's thinking? As of right now, we do have gold dropping down a little bit to lower levels, has crossed down on the MACD, but pretty much everything has crossed down on its MACD, I want to say. Like, I mean, we got things like the SPY trying to cross down on its MACD. We got the Qs crossing down on their MACD. We got XLU going to higher levels. So that would tell me that we actually might have more room to the upside than we think. Apple has officially curled over as of today on that daily scale. We'll see if that adds up to anything. But remember, by the end of the day, if this thing can really start to scale up, if we get some good data to shift people's thinking, it can be good. But if it's bad, guys, then this can get bad. All right, I want to be clear. This is kind of a moment where it's like, if it's good, because volatility is so high, you can see a big reaction if the information we get is good. But you can also get that same reaction to the downside again. So that tells me what the Qs can still end up down towards 455, 4 more points lower, a whole 1% lower pretty much. But as we kind of click through, we can click through the rest of these. Tesla looking like it's on the verge of crossing, but it's trying to hold up. Amazon looking like it could cross down. Nvidia already crossed. AMD already crossed. Meta already crossed, but that's looking more like a pullback to me. Microsoft, I believe this might have crossed as well. Oh, it's about to cross there. This would be an okay look, though. Like, I wouldn't mind this. And then we do this kind of look, and then we actually extend for a little bit of time. But as Tom Lee's saying, September will be rough. I think that would make more sense to trap some people right after he says that, and then it starts to get rough. That's what I would overall think, but we'll see. Google, as we look at that coming down, you see this almost like a double bottom. That's why I'm saying there's something interesting to say here, because looking like a double bottom, but also crossing over on the MACD pretty early on here. AMC is starting to see a little bit of positivity this morning. Remember, the main signal with AMC is you need that daily scale to turn up. GameStop already had the daily scale turn up. We saw a little bit more positivity, right? We saw that positivity try to follow through. It wasn't able to hold. So now we're waiting and seeing if this 2 hour is going to cross down and we need to manage some trades, right? Or are we just going to see this thing curl back up on a 30-minute, right? Is the 30-minute just going to curl back up for now? We have a little bit of time left. Remember, if that 30-minute does curl up, test the high, go make a new one. What's above you? That 25.96, the point where you need to get past to see something crazy. What time does data come out? It comes out in about 20 minutes. We get the JOLTS job openings. I'm going to pull that up actually on my other screen so I'm ready for it. I got to chug some coffee for a second here too, guys. All right, so looks like we got balance trade, export, imports. So imports dramatically higher, and some revisions on the imports and exports. Interesting. Very interesting. That'll be smooth sailing. Let's see, from SMCI, we're seeing that drop off again on the 30-minute crossing down. We'll see if that can cross back up, but for now, that is a bad sign for something like SMCI. That could mean we have to make a stronger base. We don't really have a strong base here. We don't really have a strong base for SMCI. Maybe some data can really change things. AMC actually going up 1% now. We'll see if this gets a reaction. Remember, for AMC, paying attention to the 30-minute signal here. This is a pretty damn good signal, to be honest. Let's see. Yeah, so I actually really like this signal. This is showing weakness in momentum. And the way we do this too, we'll kind of go through it because I know some people came in and they were like, hey, I'm still a little bit confused with divergence. Well, all you want to do is really draw that out, show how the price action is going down, and divergence is when this is doing something different. Your indicators are doing something different than this line right here, this price action right here. This is something different. If that would cross up, that's your divergence. And then down here on the RSI, you can see how steep that is. And if that would cross back above that center line or really see that direction turn up, that would be something to pay attention to, right? If that crossed that center line now, and then this crosses up and that crosses that center line, ooh, you can have a good bit of price action there. The 2-hour can start to turn up. And then once that 2-hour turns up, maybe you have enough momentum to actually turn up the daily scale. So I'd be paying close attention to this on the 30-minute as of right now. Looks like we have NVIDIA seeing some kind of bounce, I think, right? So trying to get those buyers and bounce out of this zone. For the most part, no reversal signals here from NVIDIA this morning. Morning, money making fam. What up, Maria? How you doing? IWM. I gotta update those levels up, by the way. We gotta update these levels because I'm pretty sure these are not correct. I kept looking at them yesterday and I was just like, aren't those? I don't think I updated this. 226.44. They're just so close to being. They're so similar. Like literally 10 cents difference. That's why it was looking interesting. All right, but you still have a move outside of the weekly range. The cool part about IWM is it's staying right near it, which is a good sign. Okay, so you can look for reversal signals here. Do we have it? No. So you could see this type of behavior happen, right? Make some kind of reversal signal outside of these ranges. That's what I'd be paying attention to. But it really depends on the data. And really the reason I'm saying this could happen is just because we are far away from the center line a little bit. So we're not as far as other things. So if we do get good news and that just continues to go positive, hey, good things. But if that rolls up to here and rolls back down, you might need to make some kind of double bottom, some kind of divergence in some way before you're able to break to the upside. Good point this morning for the Dow. We'll see if that is able to cross back up into positive territory. That would be a good sign. Qs are building back as of right now. We'll see what happens with that going forward, and we should get that updated PCC in a moment. And you're noticing the dollar get a slight upward reaction, actually holding up as the market goes up. So I think we're kind of in an area still where it's like some bigger players have bought, but are they going to sell immediately once they see that data? I think it's like they're kind of dabbling right now, and then we need to see if that dollar really comes off. September's always poor. Yeah. That's why I'm more leaning towards the trap to the upside. We're so early on in September for us to base out like completely and then just go to new highs and then everything's jolly and good again. I think that would be weird. But I'm open to it. But I'm more open to the fact that if we did see some kind of crazy good number and that thing just starts to spike up over time or go like this in some way, or even go like this and roll back down, that's what I'm more paying attention to at this point. I'm paying attention on the 30-minute for a lower high. Oh, you can send me an email. It should be in the course a bunch, Ifoma. Keep looking through the course, and I should give my email multiple times. But you can also ask questions here if it's something. And then we can try to tackle it. I think it's fine for people to hear that type of stuff. It's more when you take the course, it makes it way more clear. But yeah. Oh, okay, I'll check for that, FOMO, after the stream. PCC opening up this morning, a lot of people going towards the put side, okay? So at 0.95, maybe it's just on my green line or something. Yeah, it's on my green line. You just can't see it. It's like right here. You just can't see it. But it is right here. So that is 0.95. A lot of people taking in the put side of things this morning as volatility actually says, hey, I'm at least getting a 30-minute pullback. Yeah, FOMO, I'll try to get to that right away. Life's been a bit crazy. Oh, NVIDIA actually seeing a bounce out of the zone so far this morning. I think the call action on NVIDIA, I kind of want to look at Max Payne because I'm seeing a little bit of calls bought up here. Where is it, Max Payne? I want to see where that kind of lands us at the end of the week, where that would be if people are actually buying stuff. Let's see what people think about NVIDIA. NVIDIA has a huge amount of calls this week at 170. And then your first real call wall, though, is all the way up at 115. So somewhere up in this area is where you do have that call wall, which is just 3 points above the weekly expected move, pretty much. So pretty much from that area, call wall is 115, call wall 120, call wall 125, and then a bigger call wall at 130. You want me to pull that over so you can see that real quick and just see what I'm looking at. 115, 120, 125, 130, and then all the way up here at 170, we got a ton of them. So not as much to the put side here. Just something interesting we can look at. Nothing too crazy there. Where did I find that data? You can go to, let me get to you the actual maximum-pain.com. I'll try to leave it in the middle of the screen so you can see maximum pain, maximum-pain.com. And that updates every single morning, actually, just so you're aware. So if you look at it at night, it'll change by the morning. NVIDIA really seeing some traction here. NVIDIA, a whale bought 1 million worth in weekly puts and instantly goes down 50%. Oh my gosh. So some whale this morning bought NVIDIA puts with $1 million and just lost 500 grand with this slight up push. That I shouldn't laugh. God, I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. That's very rude. But hey, it's seeing some upside. That's pretty good. Let's see if AMD is seeing that reaction. AMD actually never going to a new low, actually popping back up. Meta, this is, okay, Meta was one as well, by the way, that has a bunch of little 30-minute divergences that keep like almost not playing out fully, right? And then you get kind of this, oh, okay, higher low, right? And then that doesn't play out. And then now you have another point. It's kind of like once you manage the trade enough, you kind of give up, but then this crosses up and then we finally go off to the races. So the ultimate signal here is going to be that 2 hour turning back up. But you do see the divergence on the 2 hour, right? Flatness here, slight upward move here on the RSI. So interesting for Meta. Let's go back over to the Qs real quick on the 30-minute scale, just seeing if things can turn back up. The Qs really suffered here. I believe the Qs looked a little bit weaker than the SPY. SPY holding up okay. And as you can see, SPY holding up okay, while the Qs gapping down again. We will see. We got about 10 minutes left as we click over to something like Apple. Still looking for that 30-minute curl up. Just note, a lot of these guys on the 30-minute are in negative territory with no strength in the base. So you're going to need some good news to really get the momentum back in. It can happen. Volatility is high, so bigger swings can happen. But if we get that big reaction and then that starts to curl down, right? We get a big reaction, then that curls down. watch out, because that could mean we need to make a stronger base before we head higher, or that could just mean, hey, we're going to drop, right? So we don't have to create the stronger base. It's just what we'd like to see as a trader. As we go over and look at something like Tesla, 30-minute curls up, I think you got a chance to see something good. You're already seeing something pretty damn good, right? Even if you're a shorter term trader, 15-minute crossed up positive territory, watch out for a weekly expected move or something like that if we get good data. Ultimately, that 2-hour is turning up and going positive. We've seen big moves like this from Tesla before that wick out. It just tells me maybe I need to still wait 9 minutes for that data. For the most part for Tesla, though, the good sign here is you're crossing back up on the daily MACD. It's kind of solidifying, like saying, hey, this is really going to try to be a higher low. We just got to see if that can follow through into positive territory. Then you might see a big move towards 234, right? So we'll see what happens with that going forward. AMD needs to turn back up. Now, see, now you're having to turn back up on daily scales. That's kind of the bad part. GME and AMC both going positive here. That's pretty damn good. Having a green day so far. We got to see if that's able to curl back up on this daily MACD. MDT curling up. This is going to be a 2-hour pullback scenario. So 2-hour pulls back by the center line, crossing up right now and breaking out. So you don't look like you have much room to the upside, though. That's the problem. This pullback wasn't drawn out too long. You'd really like to see that RSI get beat up a little bit, but also you just had pretty much the swing trade signals came up right here. So this was kind of the moment to take a chance, and then you manage the trade if that starts to roll down. That didn't happen, so it's going to the upside. That's all I see here. But now if I just look at it very blatantly, I can see if we just sit up in this area for a second, get a couple of green bars here, you're going to have divergence. So watch out if that does end up falling over. But for the most part, you would say 2-hour curled up, positive territory, looks good. Just overbought is why I'm a little bit like, oof. Palantir dropping down one more time. Now the key thing with Palantir here is the 2-hour divergence that is being formed. You see that little divergence down here for possibly a double bottom at this moment. Okay, you see it on the RSI, right? You see it on the MACD, you see it on the price action. So this can lead to upside if the 2 hour is able to curl up. You might have a double bottom, take out this high, maybe even go make a new one towards something like $33, $34. Yeah, and I think Just Joe is overall saying the correct things. It doesn't mean YOLO into something. You have to see more price action to be convinced that this can be some kind of turnaround from here. You have to see a little bit more price action, because if you do that, right, if you do something like just buy based on a 30-minute crossing up or something, what if that 30-minute crosses up like this and then just falls again and you go and retest that level? What timeline? You can look on any timeline. If you're not comfortable with divergence, you can always back out to a daily scale and make it very obvious. Okay, really back out to a daily scale, kind of look at it and go, okay, where am I seeing divergences? Now, this time that we've been in lately has been squeezing, confusing sometimes, right, on these. But if you go into a single stock like this, you can really start to see some potential for those divergences, right? You see this on the MACD, right? So we'll give you an example of a time where they're not at the same time, right? That is going higher. See how the blue line comes above it when I draw across? Okay, awesome. But what was going on the RSI? Well, it was coming slightly down. So you had one divergence here telling you there is some kind of bigger pullback coming, maybe to go to that center line. But for the most part, you would say that might be just a big pullback because you didn't have the signals at the same time. Now, to the other side, you see this down here. This is just practicing, by the way. Looking at charts as practice is a good thing, Ifoma. So turning down like this, you see the downward direction of these lows, but you see how your MACD is heading up, and then we cross right here. We cross right here. This is a play that I recently did take, and then you see that at the same time on the RSI, and it is very, very, very significant, right? So what happened after you see these at the same time? Did it happen like this, where it didn't completely fall down? No, because you have them at the same time here. So this went to a new high, right? And if we look back, what are we going to notice here? Divergence right here. We have that upward price action. We see the downward divergence. We see that on the RSI at the same time. Okay, that means a downfall is coming. Downfall came, popped back up to test, and then we turned back down. Right, so this was all great trade setups for Apple, and it's all on the daily scale. If you even zoom out of things, get good at buying 2-month out calls, 2-month out puts, and things like that. This is where the daily scale can really help you, and it's not going to be you staring at charts all the time. You're really practicing patience and waiting for things to develop. So what has developed right here? Well, the daily scale has turned down. What happened the last time we had a slight divergence? That turned down, popped back up, and then rolled over near negative territory. Well, bad things happened over time. So if you saw this and it's pretty close to negative territory, bad things can happen here as well. You want to do weeklies as well. Well, weeklies as well can be there. Okay, so this is where you might want to extend out to like a 3-month thing, but you'll see weekly divergences as well. If you notice here from Apple, we see this downward price action right here. We see this flatness even a little tiny bit up. You can just see it if I hold my mouse there. You're going to see that blue line just barely higher, giving you that slight divergence here, and then that's proven on the RSI down here. You kind of see how that's going in the upward direction. So this divergence here crossed up on the weekly scale right here, and you'll notice that most of the time you want to look out another couple of months if you're going to be doing weekly plays, because look, this is going to take, let's just take the 3-month point about right here. You had 13% in about 3 months. So I would even say 6-month plays are worthy of this type of stuff, right? And then the key thing here, we actually paid attention to this. We were like, this could just be a double top, all right. And the weekly divergence here really told us that. Crossed down. You notice it takes time, though, to get to those lower prices because we only crossed over here, right? So at the top of this bar, and we didn't end up going all the way down for 4 months, right? About 4 months to go all the way down to that low 13%. Okay, so weeklies, it's going to be interesting. What you can overall do, though, is see a weekly one and then go into this. Remember, we showed you there were some daily divergences in there as well. So you can go and say, okay, there's a weekly divergence. Now there's also a daily divergence. Okay, let me take the daily. That way you're in a little bit earlier. How far back do you go? Usually it's between like 2 major highs, right? So major highs is what you overall want to be looking for. Like even where we're at right now, you could kind of look into it. You more want to look at the monthly scale because of this. So more likely, because this is a very high up MACD, you want to see where that is creating the next one. So if that does curl down for a few weeks, does that curl back up and give you some kind of look like this? Do we get down by that center line, curl back up, and then just start to fall, right? Give us that divergence point. Usually you want it within, especially on the weekly, and I would say, 30 minutes and shorter time frames, you can give it some leeway. But when you're doing it on the monthly, the weekly, and even the daily scale, you don't necessarily want to get in the habit of being like, okay, this price action looks like this, right? And we're not going to go like, okay, that's divergence all the way across between these 2 points, right? That's more what you want to stay away from on these bigger time frames. Sometimes it makes sense on the shorter ones, but on the bigger ones, you want to pay attention to the most recent signal between those 2 highs. Hope everyone's doing great. Nice. And what's up? As far as we get from the data this morning, we get the JOLTS job openings in 1 minute. I do have that data up on my screen. Let's zoom into a little bit shorter time frame as we get that data. Look over at something like NVIDIA because AMD actually is looking pretty positive. We'll see if NVIDIA can get a reaction out of this zone. SPY actually flipping to the positive side. What's happening with the dollar as that happens? It's starting to sell off. We'll see if this is something to look into right now. Right now, the 30-minute pullback for volatility hitting my trend line. So we'll see what happens with that going forward. But SPY looking kind of positive. See if that can load for a moment. And it looks like we didn't get the JOLTS job openings yet. 7.673 million and a revision of the last one to 7.91. Now we'll look at JOLTS job quits and things like that as well. They're not liking that data right away in the morning here. But the dollar is dramatically dropping off. So all the selling you're seeing here is pointing towards a rigged move, and you're seeing a high PCC. Okay, so now we're actually seeing downward move, upward move in the dollar, and a high PCC. This means that we could be seeing some kind of rigged move to the upside by the end of the day if all of this stays true right now, right? If this all stays the same, then we could see a rigged move to the upside. That dollar is backing off very dramatically here. Very dramatically. I want you to see that dollar dropping off very, very dramatically. We'll see if that adds up into anything as that dollar is being dumped. We can see times where the dollar actually crashes with the market, but this downward push with that data just right off the bat, there is most likely some buying going on here, and the market maker could send things higher because now they have that high put call ratio. So you could be seeing a rigged move to the upside soon. We'll see if that proves to be some kind of bottom. Am I going to play that? I'll think about it for now. If bigger things like 2 hours start to curl up, I'll think about it. As we go over and look at something like NVIDIA up here, it was doing good, now doing bad. AMD still holding a little bit stronger. Tesla, is that holding up pretty strong? It's actually holding up pretty well. We'll see if it can cross through that high. AMC and GME look like, watch out if AMC is able to curl this up. That would be weakening in momentum. We haven't seen weakening in momentum plays really play out over the last few months, pretty much ever since the first few months that this was being paid attention to. We haven't really seen momentum play out correctly, which is very interesting. Oh, excuse me, my bad. So we'll see what happens with this, but maybe we still have to pay attention. It's kind of like once they make us fall asleep, once this 2 hour crosses up, I think it's mainly just when the daily crosses up for these guys. So daily can go positive, that'd be nice. So as of right now, we have a dollar dropping off dramatically, a bad initial reaction to that data, which I don't think is very justified. And then the dollar dropping off very dramatically, which hints there could be some insider selling, if not flight to some kind of safety play. So XLU popping off, TLT popping off, those could be running as well because of that data. $1,000 fee. You don't see the data here, I'll pull it up real quick. You do have the JOLTS job openings, and it got revised actually down a little bit. And coming in at 7.673 million. Factory orders higher, factory orders ex transportation higher, and JOLTS job quits higher than the previous actually. Total vehicle sales. When is that coming out? Soon? We'll find out. All right, we can sit here and stare at the cues until we see a reaction. Good morning. Dump City, and that's looks like to be the theme as of right now, but you're seeing that wick up because, well, we have the dollar dropping off. That's really telling us, interesting. Could this be the rigged behavior that we normally see? Well, let's see. The market, the SPY is down, right? The Qs are down. The IWM is down. Awesome. Volatility is not going to a new high with that information. The dollar is going down dramatically, and the PCC is high. All of that is saying there could be some rigged behavior going on. So it doesn't mean that we're going to say, oh, a rigged thing is happening, immediately buy everything and blah, 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 blah. No, we want to see reversals still, right? We want to see at least a 30-minute curling up. We need some kind of reason to take the trade. I did not, Sid. Send me some info on it. Yeah, VIX continuing to fall here. I think a key thing is you need that 2 hour to really rotate down. You need that 2 hour to really rotate down to see that positivity fully come in. SPY, you need that 2 hour to rotate up. So you're kind of paying attention to the, so that's kind of when you like it, when the volatility and the SPY, you're paying attention to the same thing, and one of them gives you the signal first, the other one follows it. Kind of a nice look. I like it. We'll see what happens. Tesla still holding pretty well. So if we're going to crash right now, then Tesla is still holding pretty damn well. AMD holding well. Google holding well. Netflix holding well. AMC, GME holding well. Gold not holding the best. I like it. Just, yeah, that's fun. Why is it saying 330,000 instead of the actual price? I actually don't know. Because that doesn't even make sense. Like 18,000 makes sense, 18.8. What do you watch for reversal? I watch a lot of time frames, guys. So I watch a lot of time frames for reversals. I'm not seeing a reversal signal from this right now. So what I want to do is more so follow the biggest signal that I have, which is a daily crossover. So Apple's still saying downside is the most likely option, and that seems to be what's happening here. As far as reversals go, if a 30-minute crosses up, you can get a reversal in some way, right? We can reverse like this and then fall again. So I'd more be like, okay, this is completely overbought. Is the 2 hour or oversold? Is the 2 hour oversold? That thing's digging deeper into negative territory. If like an hourly or a 30-minute curls up, I might take some contracts off. That's pretty much how I'm going to do things. Nvidia going back into the zone as of right now, kind of giving up that bar. We'll see if that's able to react back up. But just a 30-minute cross up is what you're looking for right now. Yeah, FOMA. So there's no reversal signals in here, but every time a MACD curls up, you have a chance, right? You have a chance that thing could just reverse completely back around. That's why I want to be very careful with the upward move, because you could just see one more move down to then go make a stronger base or something like that. So far, pretty good reaction. I'm liking it. It's fun. Dollar was down, started to wick up a little bit. PCC still a little bit high. Dow Jones, though, look at the Dow, positive. Okay, so the Dow, we've been following this pretty well. I actually had shorts on the Dow, and then I took those off yesterday. Yes, exactly, Afoma. And the easiest way to understand that, Afoma, is a 2 hour has more time in it, so there's going to be more volume in it. So you should read more into it. As those scale up, there's more volume in them, right? So you should pay attention to the bigger time frame the most. No, you're good. Keep going. I like these questions, especially since you just got the course, which the course still 90% off this morning, guys. 150 bucks. You can get both the swing trading course and the technical indicators course. Technical indicators course is going to be fan-freaking-tastic, and the swing trading course is mainly just to give you those entries, those exits, and how to actually take the trade and when to take the trade. So all of that is 90% off still, because we had some problems with Teachable yesterday, so we're leaving it up for today. Make sure to grab that before the day is up, because it's going away today. It's not going back down to those prices, I can tell you that. My dad's yelled at me enough. My dad and his buddies, my dad and his friend, who's he used to work for a hedge fund. He's like, you should not be selling that course for $100, man. I was like, what should I sell it for? He's like, it's worth $1,500. And I was like, I'm not gonna do that. And he's like, why? I'm like, because I want people like, you know, how I started out. I want people like me to be able to take it. And he's just like, that sounds silly. If they really want to take it, they should save money and do this. I'm like, no, I think everyone should be able to learn, and that's perfectly fine. He's like, you could make more money. I'm like, no, I'm good. They don't understand me. They don't understand me at all. I've never cared the most about money. VIX is dropping, and we're starting to see the Qs really get that good bounce here. How many videos are in each course? I think, well, the better way to do it is how much time. because there's videos, there's multiple videos. There's a video on divergence, there's a video on MACD, there's a video on RSI, there's a video on patience, there's a video on weekly ranges, there's a video on how to trade around weekly ranges, there's a video putting all of that stuff together, there's a video about 3 to 5 reasons to take a trade. There's a lot of videos. The best way to put it is the technical indicators course would be about probably about I would say 3 to 4 hours long. You can really get that. And then the swing trading courses might only take you a couple hours. So that I could buy puts against them. Well, you want to be careful with that because sometimes people like, in Short Fridays, thank you for the $5, but sometimes people like Nancy Pelosi buy a crap load of calls. So if you're just trying to take the opposite direction, it's not always going to be retail that you're seeing, right? It's not always going to be retail that you're seeing. So there, you can look for like options order flow. Like type in on Google options order flow, look for some places in there. I know that Unusual Whales is a good person to probably follow on Twitter. Maybe look at some of his stuff today, Short Fridays. I don't know if it is a he, but look at the Unusual Whale stuff. It's not the worst platform. I've looked into it. I just want to see pretty much what things I want to add to my trading strategies, but right now I don't think I need to add anything. I've come to a very good spot here. You have to pay for emails. No, it's not emails. Pretty much, it'll say like, you don't. I don't like to spam people's emails. If anything, it's more like if you go all the way to checkout and then you back out or something like that, then they might email you and be like, "Hey, would you like to get this course?" Like once. I only do. I don't. That's how I have it set up. I'm like, it might email you once. It shouldn't be emailing you 10 times. No, the video course is all on the Teachable platform. Author reasons to get a put on the daily, just confirming my thoughts. Yeah, of course. Let's go look at AMD real quick. So AMD, oh, should I get puts based on the daily scale? Well, you're seeing a 30-minute curl up for now. And thank you again for the $5 Short Fridays. No, that's perfect, Ifoma. That's how you should do it early on, is really just looking at some charts. That's fantastic. And then you see a good daily signal, maybe you could play that because those are pretty good. But for the most part, you would say a 30 minutes curling up right now. So that means the stock is trying to head in that upward direction. Are we going to see further downside than right here? You notice that daily is curling down. This is all signs that you can see more downside. But now what you want to do is you want to take these signals and say, okay, we're seeing a 30-minute bounce though. So how high up can that 30-minute bounce, and is it going to rotate back down? Right? So the 30 minutes crossing up, if that remains crossed up, that means we could see some positivity. But are we just going to get to that center line and cross over, right? Get towards the center line, cross over, get towards the center line, cross over, get towards the center line and cross over to make a stronger base. So I'd be looking for that reaction. And then if you curl down, yeah, you can make a downward move again. And then you would see, okay, now is this going to, so it's like if I want to play the daily, this is more where I'd put a position for the downside or anytime this curls back down. But if I wanted to find a reversal signal, and it's good to pay attention to that if you take that downside play, if you see a reversal signal like this, a divergence down here on the MACD and RSI at the same time, well then right here would be the point where you say there's no reason for downside anymore, and that is a reversal signal. Exactly. Yes, you're clicking. It's clicking. Okay, so that's pretty much what you're going for today. It's like if I didn't get my position yesterday with this curl over on the 30-minute, well, now I want to see, can this thing bounce up and then curl down as some kind of trap, right? That's what I want to be doing for the most part today, is looking for the bounce, seeing if it's going to fully reverse. Because if you just buy something now to the downside and then this reverses and it never crosses back down, right? This doesn't have to cross back down. What if this just kept going like this? You would be not happy, right? You'd be like, okay, I just buy the position here because of the daily. No, going into the shorter time frames will help you. And if this starts to recover, then you weren't convinced like, oh, I had to short this right here, right now. So yeah, I think you're thinking perfectly, actually. I really like how you're saying things. You're saying it before I even get to, which is great. All right, we have volatility starting to see a little bit of green. We'll see what happens with that going forward. PCC still high, the dollar still dropped down dramatically into the zone, so we'll pay attention to that. We'll see if an upside move has the same type of behavior. Right now, you do have things like Tesla up 3%, Apple down 1.7%, Nvidia actually going back to even here, so that will be interesting. So the same thing holds true, Ifoma, for exactly, Ifoma, yes. So what you're trying to do is get a better entry, because a lot of the time the timing of your entry is important. The amount of expiration that you take is important. So what can we see from something like Nvidia here? Well, if this crossed up, it's all the same stuff, right? It could reject at any time. So if I wanted to short Nvidia, am I going to do it right now? No, I'm going to wait, even though that daily's crossed over, and that would make sense. It's like we could see a massive bounce that really ruins that position, and then it turns over right here, and then I go, okay, that's the better one. And then if that drops down and creates a divergence, then I know, hey, I need to not be taking downside anymore. Fantastic. I'm going to take just 2 minutes here to go do a little bathroom break. All right, guys, I'll be right back in about 2 minutes. Good chance to maybe go check on those courses down in the description. Last day to get them. Shoot, sorry guys. Weirdly enough, I'll be seeing you guys later for the afternoon stream. A gentleman actually followed my wife's mom home to her house and parked in her driveway and was harassing her outside of her car, so I have to go. I will talk to you guys later, and I will be back on later today. I'll still leave that course up if you want to go into it. Maybe by the afternoon stream, you can come and ask some questions if you have questions about it, but I gotta go.